If you are already tired of the life you are living now, if you are tired of suffering, if you are tired of the frustration, if you are tired of being broke, if you've kept on repeating a particular cycle of life on a daily, I think this video is for you. Because in this video, I will scientifically explain to you the reason why you are the way you are. Because it doesn't just happen, it is happening because of a reason. And also, in this video, you will understand fully well the best way to navigate through life in clarity, in confidence, taking full charge and full responsibility of your life. This is one thing many people don't understand in this life. You see, the way you see yourself, the way you react to things, your daily difficulties and your daily struggles doesn't just happen. They don't just happen on a random. They happen because of a reason. They happen because of how your brain is being wired and the environment that shaped you. Your subconscious mind is actually living your life behind your back. Your subconscious mind controls how you live without your knowledge. I will break all these things down for you so that you will understand what I'm trying to say. Because I want you to actually take full charge and full responsibility of what happens in your life. But before then, if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe, and don't forget that your likes and your comments will actually help to push this video to people that will actually need it. Let's proceed. Every person in this life grew up under a guardian or a parents and under a particular environment. And while growing up, we experience a lot of things in this life, which include maybe hunger if you come from a very poor family, scarcity, rejections, discriminations, trauma. We experience a lot of things in this life, which these things you experience while growing up were actually programmed in your brain without you knowing. And because they are being programmed in your brain, they influence your thoughts, your belief, your focus, like almost everything about you. All these experiences you gathered while growing up are being programmed in your brain, and they influence almost everything that actually concerns you. And you know, in this life, our physical reality is a manifestation of what happens or what happened in our mental reality. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our focus are actually what manifests physically. We are actually the product of our thoughts. We are the product of our beliefs. We are the product of our focus. We get what we focus on. We get what we believe in. And our thoughts actually shapes our reality. What if I tell you now that that thought in your head, that belief and that focus are not actually yours? Yes, I will explain better. Because individually, when we were born, we came into this world with a purpose. We came into this world with our individual purpose. And that purpose are actually the reason why we were born. But because of the environment we find ourselves, because of the people we grew under, because of the influence of our parents or our guidance, they influence us with their own thoughts. They influence us with their own belief. They influence us to start focusing on what they focus on. Thereby, and because our brain is being programmed with all these things we experience while growing up, we now tend to forget our own purpose on life, living another people's life. These experiences you gathered from the people you grew up under, these experiences you gathered from the environment you grew up in, actually helped in shaping your brain, actually helped in molding you, and sometimes they tend to actually shrink your own purpose, thereby influencing you with what they really have. You will now start living their lives. You will now start living the life of people who influence you. You will now abandon your own life, your own purpose, and now start living the life of people that influenced you. The other aspect of this fact is that this program in your head can also be inherited. Yes, you don't just learn them. You don't just experience them maybe from your environment or the people you grew under. It can also be inherited. Yes, that program in your head, that thought in your head, that focus, that belief can also be inherited from your parents or from your ancestors. What do I mean? There is something called epigenetics. Epigenetics is that which actually turns on or off the gene in our body. They determine the particular gene to turn on depending on the environment or the situation. You can actually inherit the thoughts of your ancestors or the thoughts or beliefs of your ancestors or your parents. For instance, if your parents, if your mom or your dad never healed from a particular trauma in life, there is a tendency that that trauma will actually be passed down to you, being the offspring. If your father or your mom or one of your ancestors happens to be a drunkard, there is a tendency that you will inherit that particular trait. It can be inherited. Do you know that there is a tendency that that feeling you have about yourself and that thought you have in your brain or you have in your mind is not actually yours? Yes, let me repeat again. There is a tendency that that feeling you have about yourself and that thought in your mind are not actually yours. They were passed down to you through your ancestors or through your lineage. And because they are not in alignment with what you want for yourself, you keep on struggling with them. That thought might not be your thought. It was passed down to you, and you keep on struggling with them because they are not in alignment with what you want for yourself. When we were in school, I have a classmate. This my classmate is actually too good in music. If he plays an organ, if he plays piano for you, he plays like a professional, but he never learned it. He never learned music from anywhere. He never learned music from anybody. But funny enough, he never liked music. Then in our school, he's been forced to actually belong to the school choir, but he never liked it. But he actually identifies every note or every key just with sounds. Nobody was able to understand why a person who is so good in music wouldn't even like music. It was later understood that his grandfather was a musician. You now understand that that trait, you now understand that that gift, that knowledge was actually passed down to him through his grandfather. And because he never liked it, that's not the way he really wanted to go in life. He keeps on struggling with that. Haven't you seen people who are so good in a craft that they never learned? They become so good in a particular craft, but they never learned it from anywhere. Go and check very well in their lineage. Someone in their lineage, some time ago, was good in that particular craft. And then it was passed down to that particular person. This is just to explain to you that that thought, that feeling you have about yourself, there is a tendency that those feelings and those thoughts might not be actually yours. They might belong to your ancestors. I believe by now you know that all these programs in our brain actually influences almost every sector of our lives. It influences our thoughts, it influences our decisions, it influences almost every sector of our lives. I want you to know this. You see all those inherited traits from our lineage, from our parents or from our grandparents. Most of those traits doesn't just start manifesting as we are born. Most of them takes time to start manifesting. Most of them can be in us but hidden until something or a situation or an environment wakens it. Something like a drunkard. If you inherited the trait of being a drunkard from your lineage, that trait can never start manifesting when you were born. It will be in you hidden until at a point, either situation, environment, or conditions will actually bring it to life. It doesn't mean that those traits were not there. It doesn't mean that you never had that trait. It was there. It is actually there in your life. But then, situation sometimes awakens those genes we have in our body, those traits we inherited from our lineage. In this world, every one of us have one or two stuff they are actually battling with, which might be a kind of trauma or any other thing. I tell you at this moment, you need to deal with anything you are actually battling with in your life currently, because if you don't deal with it, automatically it will become a part of you. And once it becomes a part of you, it becomes a habit, it becomes a threat. And since it has become a threat, it has become a part of you, it will influence almost everything you do in this life. It influences how you think, how you take decisions. It influences your focus. And if you don't still treat it now, there is a tendency that it can actually be passed down to your offspring. Don't make a mistake of passing down a negative trait to your offspring. You have to heal now. If you really want to succeed in this life, you have to start now deleting all those thoughts, getting rid of all those thoughts you have in your head, all those beliefs you have in your head, both the ones you inherited and the ones you gathered by experience. You have to start deleting them one after the other. The experiences you gathered and the ones you inherited, and start creating a new one if you really want to succeed in this life. If you really want to make a difference, if you really want to change the pattern you've always gone through in your life, if you really want to create a new pattern in your life, you have to delete those old thoughts you have in your mind. At this point, You have to teach your body how to emotionally understand what your mind understands. The mind, thoughts are actually the most powerful thing on earth. Yes, your thoughts, the mind is actually or are actually the most powerful things on earth. Nothing exists on earth without the mind. Nothing exists on earth without thoughts. Everything you see today that exists happens because somebody somewhere thought about it. There is an aeroplane because somebody somewhere thought about it. There is a ship because somebody somewhere thought about it. Even the shape of your room currently now is being determined by your thoughts, because when you entered that room, it was empty. It was actually a product of your thought that really shaped that room the way it is today, because you determined the color of chair, the color of the upholstery, how your television will look like, and where exactly to keep them. The mind is so powerful. If you really want to succeed, you have to break free from the old thoughts. Because if you continue thinking the same way, you will continue doing the same thing. And if you continue doing the same thing, you will continue seeing the same results. If you really want to change your reality, you will first of all change the way you think. My name is Sorochuku. Please do well to subscribe to my channel if you want more of this.